Awesome. And we have a question coming in the chat. Brad, are you okay if I put you on the spot a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
And I love your questions, y'all. Thanks. I forgot to say in the beginning of this interview, please, we want your questions. So this is a great one. Palma is saying, and this is for so many of us, Palma is saying, do you have a stretch for forearm or arm for that chronic mousing or chronic typing, etc.? So anything for the forearms and the wrists or the arms that you can show us real quick?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's, dozens of different stretches that we can do for the forearm, the wrist, the hands, the fingers, etc. There's a couple of probably precautions that I should say before we start just sort of diving into stretches. There's no such thing as a one size fits all stretch. A lot of the times I get asked to create like a full body routine. And I always steer away from that. Firstly, because of what I spoke about before, with people having different tight spots and imbalances. So for example, if you have an imbalance, a flexibility imbalance somewhere in your body, and we just stretch everything. So say, for example, you spend a lot of time at a computer and you've developed a little bit of a kyphosis, your shoulders are rounding forward, your chest is contracting, and that's probably putting a lot of strain on your upper back. You're probably feeling some pain in your upper back and neck. Now, if I just give you a full body routine that stretches sort of every muscle group equally, we're never going to get rid of that imbalance. So yes, we'll make the shoulders and the chest a little bit more flexible as well. But if we're stretching everything, we're also going to make the upper back and neck a little bit more flexible as well. So we're never going to get rid of this imbalance. So that's sort of the first thing to take into account when you are looking at creating a flexibility program for you. And just like if you were going to start going to the gym, hopefully you'd go and see a trainer. They do a little bit of an assessment with you, find out where your strengths and weaknesses are, and then they put together a program that focuses on your weaknesses, and they try and bring up your weaknesses to match your strengths until you get to the point where you've got fairly even strength throughout your body. Well, it's exactly the same with flexibility. It's really important to get some sort of assessment, so someone can look at you and find out where your tight spots are and your imbalances are, and then you can work on those specifically. The other precaution I'd probably recommend for people is that if any stretch causes any pain, any tingling, any numbness, anything like that, then you need to back out of it straight away. So that's a precaution to always keep in mind. A lot of times what happens is we have a lot of restrictions, not necessarily in the muscles themselves, but we can have quite a lot of restrictions in the actual joint and the joint capsule. So when we go to stretch the muscles, we're actually putting even more stress and strain on those joint capsules. And a lot of times that can lead to that sort of pinching or numbness or tingling sort of feeling. So we need to be aware of that. And if you are experiencing that sort of stuff, then you may benefit from a little bit of mobilization and traction before you start doing your stretches. And that'll just help to sort of open up that joint capsule and get a little bit more space in that joint to help you to stretch a little more effectively. But getting back to our question in regards to stretches for the wrist and so forth, look, there's a couple of really good basic stretches you can do. I'm going to show you a few simple flexion and extension. So simply holding your hand up and one hand right over the top of the other. Make sure you're grasping all your fingers there, getting a good grasp there, and just reaching down. Now, in this position here, what can be very helpful to just extend this stretch a little bit more is what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and push my wrist back up, but I'm going to use this hand to hold it down. So my wrist isn't going to move, but I know you can't see me there, but I'm pushing up against my hand. So I can just push up against my hand, hold that for about 5 or 6 seconds, relax, and then we can just move a little bit deeper into the stretch. And we can do that a couple of times, typically anywhere from sort of 2 to 4 times, and that'll just help us to extend that stretch a little bit more. Now, the opposite to that is just some extension. So just opening up the hand, again, trying to get right over the top of those fingers. Maybe you put your elbow down on a bench or something and just use your hand to pull down this way. Let me just down here a little bit. And just pulling down on your hand this way. And same again, if you just try and push up like this, push up with your hand, but hold it still. You push up for 5 or 6 seconds, relax, and then let your hand go a little bit deeper. And then again, just pushing up into your hand for 5 or 6 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And you'll just find that you can just extend that stretch a little bit further. So that's 2 really basic ones to start with. I'll show you one more, which is like a rotational stretch for your forearm and wrist, and this is a really good one. Warning here, be careful doing this one, and this goes for all stretches. You want to move into the stretch very gently, very slowly, very gradually, making sure you're listening to your body, you're getting feedback as to what you're feeling. And as I said before, any tingling or pins and needles or anything like that, you want to back out of the stretch, shake the joint out a little bit of traction just to loosen up that joint a little bit, and then move back into the stretch. If you still have problems with it, then avoid that stretch altogether. So for our last wrist stretch, what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands straight out in front and down like this. Then we're going to take our other hand, we're going to reach over the top of our wrist. We're going to grab our fingers here, and then we're going to rotate like this. And this gets right through the forearm, right through the wrist, right into the hand as well. Now from here, we can also do our little contraction technique. So we can like try and pull our hand back away, and this hand's going to hold it and stop it from moving. So we get to the point where we feel some good tension. We push away, contract away. 3, 2, 1, relax, and just go that little bit further. And like I said, if you do that 2, 3, 4 times, you'll find that you can actually extend that stretch a little bit further than you normally could.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay.